Yeah.
And likewise, on this show, I've been accused of having godlike patience, doing far too much hand-holding. And then, for example, when Matt Slick calls in and we spend 45 minutes in a detailed debate about logical absolutes and the transcendental argument for the existence of God, I think we've been just about as fair as we can possibly be. I'm not even going to wait for that thing to get up. We're just going to start taking calls, and I have no idea.
Hang on, I think we're on it. Well, maybe we're not.
Well, okay. I have no idea who. Oh, no.
Wow.
Anyway,
yeah,
somebody is online too. You're now live.
Hi, how you doing?
We're doing good.
Who's this?
Good. I just wanted to say first off, I'm a huge fan of the show. Matt, I think
But
you're
not
one
today.
of the smartest freaking people I've ever met in my life, man. Seriously,
Thanks. And this thing just found another virus.
Wow.
Sorry?
We've got...
Yeah, I'm sorry. There's a lot going on in the control room. All the computers are messed up. Please continue. I apologize.
That's okay. Yeah, real quick, I was curious, how many members do you have in the ACA right now?
I don't know what the current active roll is. I think it's about 140 or so. John, do you know? I don't really know, and I haven't been overly concerned about it because that would probably be paid current active members, and some people are life members and other stuff. I'm far more interested in how many people are actively participating and helping out and things like that than I am. It's, what we get from membership is not the same sort of thing that, for example, a church or other organization would, where they, I've seen churches where they refuse to let anybody off of their rosters because that is clout when it comes time to lobby or get voting power.
Weren't the Mormons just converting dead people at random just to... I heard a story to that effect, something like that. They were just... they just decided, no, that person deserves to be saved. And so they were just volunteering them for conversion. So, we're not...
True. Anyway, I just had a quick thing to tell you guys you might find in music. I used to go to church a lot for like 13 years. I've never been, theist. I've been maybe a theist. But it's funny because I thought about something that I hadn't thought about in years. When I was about 16 at my church, I had an epiphany. And my epiphany was, I wonder if this whole Jesus and God thing is kind of like Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny. In other words, they're either waiting for us to figure out that it's a bunch of BS and like go up and talk to one of the adults, or once we get to a certain age, they're going to just tell us. You know what I mean?
and you were actually expecting some adult to correct you on this, or?
Sure, go ahead.
So someone at the church?
No, I was just curious as to what, personally, I never had any kind of epiphany. Certainly, I've had thoughts along those lines, but I find it kind of amusing that you considered that this could be sort of some sort of conspiratorial joke that you were expected to figure out.
Yeah.
And I
it's
know
all a test.
I know some atheists who have made an argument that is similar to that, in the sense that what happens if you die, theists, and you get to an afterlife, and you walk up before whatever being is in control of that afterlife, and he looks at you and says, "Why on earth did you believe this other stuff? Maybe the purpose of existence was this big test to weed out the people who were gullible." And there's those who stayed intellectually honest who said, I can't believe those claims because they're not supported by sufficient evidence. Maybe those are the people who get the good afterlife. Yeah. To me, it seems just as plausible, if not more plausible.
That's one of the better comebacks to Pascal's wager that I enjoy.
Yeah, it's like there's a South Park episode that's really funny, and there's a scene in hell, and the guy's like, one of those guys like, I was a private Christian. He's like, it's actually the Jehovah's Witnesses. That was the correct answer, So it was kind of.
There's a really good comic that I saw over at Friendly Atheist the other day, who is genuinely a friendly guy. It's the pearly gates, and there's two lines, and one of them is labeled people with the right religion, and the other line is people with the wrong religion. And of course, they're all standing in the line of people with the right religion, and somebody's off the side saying, curiously, nobody ever gets the joke. And somebody else pointed out something that ties into this, which is, one of the things is that maybe the benefit of having the wrong religion is that the line's shorter.
Mm-hmm. Anyway. And I think that there's I can't recall the title of it, but there's a science fiction novel out there where essentially the premise is that Christianity was this institution that was essentially designed by this alien race seeking to invade us. And the purpose of Christianity was essentially to soften up the human race in preparation for this invasion, which they were going to disguise as the Second Coming.
Aha.
And I think it's called the Meek is the name of it. So that I thought was a fantastically blasphemous take on the whole...
Who came up with that idea?
The name of the book is The Meek, so you can maybe try to Amazon that and see who the author is, because it's not coming to my mind right away. But
that's kind of like Raelian Christians or something, I guess.
It could be. So anyway.
Yeah. But I actually had a question. I kind of want to play theist advocate because I came up with an objection to an argument, Matt, that you made, and I wanted to present it.
Please do.
Matt, you always say and I would certainly agree with this, but the concept of might makes right. That's not a reasonable explanation for believing in a God.
Correct.
Is that how would you respond to the notion that humans, since we're the most powerful, we're the most smart, we exert our will on other animals. We eat meat and things like that. Isn't that the same basic concept?
Possibly.
Okay.
There's a distinction to be made, I think, that comes down to the ability to reason, the ability to take responsibility for actions. If I have dominion over a rock and I have no ethical or moral obligation to a rock because it has no response, it has no ability to consider the problems or consider the consequences, and it has no propensity to take action at all. As you begin moving up, I don't want to do the up the ladder thing, but as you increase the ability of an entity to think, to act freely, to consider the consequences of its actions, etc., you begin to approach something that becomes more and more like the morality that we would identify with. Now, where do you draw the line? Do you draw it at the cute animals? Do you draw it at humans? Do you draw it at all animals? Do you draw it at all living things? I'm not completely sure, and I think and not only is everybody going to have to come up with their own answer, by and large, although we're obviously going to get some consensus and agreement in different areas. I think that the other thing is that line may always be changing, and it may be different in different situations. But yeah, I have no problem at all with it. May be, and I've had lots of arguments with ethical vegans, for example, who want me to stop eating meat, and I have a really lame response to that, apart from just being a speciesist and saying that as long as cows and carrots have the same DNA in them, I'll eat both of them, things like that. But the moral and ethical question is not an easy one. And it's along the same lines, if you want to think about it, when we're trying to figure out these various gray zone issues. Abortion comes to mind. Because my position is I'm fairly fine with abortion laws as they are in the United States.
Right.
I'm not sure at what point I would call a fetus human or give it the same rights. I mean, obviously, the difference between birth and 1 day before birth for the natural course is negligible. As a matter of fact, there's most of the time there's no reason it couldn't have been born the day before. But clearly there is some difference between a few cells in a zygote and an 8-month embryo. And so it's difficult to work back and find this. Currently, I'm pretty okay with the idea that when brain function begins, to the sense of thought processes that count beyond simple instinctive pain, or perhaps at the point when that embryo might be able to survive on its own, and that line may be moving as we learn more and more about this. So there's not any, I don't think there's any really easy answer, and I'm open to the possibility that my assessment of my rights to eat some animal may be wrong.
Yeah.
But I will say that wherever the line is, clearly an intelligent, reasoning species that can think and act and consider its actions and can respond to those things, to impose one's will upon that species I clearly just that I don't see how anybody could justify that at all.